So,
where did we end?
where did we leave off?
The first night, and we were going to record every single night.
It has now been a month later.
Has it already?
What's today?
Yeah.
The 5th. We left on the 7th, almost a month ago.
Well, life sure does.
We started
go by
out
fast.
strong.
And then real life hit.
Yeah, and then it was like every night. All right, drive in late, go to sleep, wake up early.
I would think if like
we could have podcasted while we were driving, but the car was too loud.
Yeah, it's way too loud.
If we had a nice truck, we could.
All right, so our first night, we popped on here and we were sharing more of the vision of chasing the wild wonder.
Yeah, I can't even really remember what we talked about.
Me neither. You went real deep though. Like I remember you just going deep about just regenerative farming and...
Yeah, we kind of shared about our mission on, yeah, that's right. So we were just kind of like launching off into what we were doing, where we were going, and what we were heading into, leaving Idaho. And yeah, and that was like on the first night of our journey to Tennessee, which took us, what, 4 nights?
Yeah.
5 nights?
Long days driving.
Long days.
A lot of driving and pulling into Walmart parking lots.
Staying in Walmart parking lots. Another campground in Nebraska that was pretty cool, right off the river.
Oh, that was really cool. I forgot about that already.
But yeah, then we got to Tennessee. You had your conference.
It was really good.
For your company, which we found out changed its name.
We are officially
from MIG to
Herbal Alchemy.
Herbal Alchemy, which I think
branding
is hilarious and really cool.
Yeah. It's exactly what needed to happen. Like, it's kind of funny that actually this whole idea of change and changing coming with growth and like, I don't know, like it's so cool because it's like so beautiful. Like the whole idea of like the new branding is incredible. Like our products were already amazing. But then it's this idea of change, and a name change represents like sometimes stepping into your destiny is kind of the idea. I feel like our lives are going through change and a lot of growth and a lot of hard seasons, but like good seasons. It's like all really good.
Yeah.
But so it's kind of cool that happened. I walked away like a completely different like mood than I usually go to conference. So that was exciting though. Like the idea of being an herbal alchemist, with, you know, living products that people are using and being able to put on their face and be able to really truly radiate confidence in their skin. It's just, it like I get so excited about it.
Yeah, that's really cool. So probably before we get any farther, we should probably explain where we are really quick.
Where are the figuritos? Where did Chasing the Wild Wonder end up?
So we're at our RV park right now, and we are not in Tennessee.
That is true. We are not.
And if you follow us on Instagram or YouTube, you know where we are. But we are actually in Austin, Texas. And
it's the other part of Texas. Like there's
the other
Texas and then there's Austin.
Yeah. So anyway, we're here, and we ended up here because after your conference, we stayed a week at an RV park there, and me and the kids just kind of hung out and relaxed and had fun, which was great.
A lot of driving.
Yeah, and you know, if you're following us on YouTube, you know that we are trying to hook up with regenerative farmers or biodynamic farmers, people who are doing, trying to do farming the right way, and we're trying to work with them and be able to do this exchange of value. Anyway, we did the whole woofing. We signed up for woofing like, you know, a month before we left Idaho. We started looking for farms. So we started looking for farms. I reached out to 12 or so farms on Woof, and only one of them got back to me, all in the Tennessee Smoky Mountain region that we were trying to hang out in. One of them got back to me, and all they had to say was they're booked until the end of November or so. So nothing was working out. We were kind of like, what do we do? Through all this, I can't remember what we talked about in the last episode, but obviously none of this had happened yet. But I know we had talked about like just taking a leap of faith.
Yeah, we talked about that.
And
we had no idea how we were actually going to get to Tennessee.
Yeah. Bear with us on this episode because we're trying to remember what we actually talked about in the last episode. Yeah, we were talking about how we didn't know how we were going to get to Tennessee because the truth is, like, we were in Idaho, and we're just gonna talk about this because it's real life, and we don't want not for any sympathy or anything like that, but this is just our life and kind of what we're going through and learning, and maybe you guys are kind of in the same boat, but we were in Idaho and we knew we were coming up on this trip. And, I personally was just going through a lot of growth spiritually. And I feel like, just feeling called like, oh, we have to go to Tennessee. One, we need to get out of Idaho because it just wasn't conducive to our growth there and our spiritual, mental, physical health. And not Idaho in general, but just where we were. But at the same time, we were watching our bank account just dwindle. Going like, okay, I don't know, this is great. I don't know how we're gonna make a big trip and, see all this happen. So, and then I kind of had this intuitive knowing that like something tell me that like your bank account's you're gonna have pretty much nothing before you leave. And but you're still gonna get there. And so it was like the whole time it was just like really this like, it really was a leap of faith. When we say it was a leap of faith, like we weren't kidding. Like
we're not.
It wasn't just, oh, this is a leap of faith.
This is a leap of faith with like a whole house being sold and having a cushion of like, where do we go? It was like
we didn't have anything
truly
to back it up.
Nothing.
Yeah, and it was really like this. Put your. I don't know, just like really taking everything that we've been learning and kind of just growing spiritually and really like, okay, are we going to trust and have faith that we're going to make it there, okay, and we're going to get there, Sure enough, it was like we reached a Walmart parking lot, I think where were we, Kansas City or something like that?
That was Cheyenne.
Oh yeah, it was Cheyenne. It was the second.
It was the second night.
It was the second night, and we were like, well, pretty much we have no money left, and or like we have like one tank of gas left, pretty much, and like we even borrowed the kids' money, and
Yeah, they're gonna get some fat interest back.
Yeah, we borrowed it on 5% interest. Asked them beforehand and said, hey, you guys cool with this? You get 5% per month that we borrowed it until you get it paid back. And they're like, heck yeah, we'll make some money. But so anyway, we're in that Walmart parking lot, and Lacey kind of starts freaking out.
Naturally.
Naturally.
I'm the freaker outer in our relationship. Like
the freaking out.
Freaking out is like, I'm good at it.
That's right.
You got a little berry stuck in your teeth.
Some comments from our studio audience here.
So naturally I started freaking out, and then you walk in and you're like, I remember you walking in and you're like, oh my gosh, we just got like money in. A friend of ours was willing, he wanted to, like, we had shared like, well, I guess you share it. Like,
well, I had done some work for...
Really should podcast more often so we know where we end off on this episode. Right?
No, I had done some work more for my own benefit, for my like portfolio. I wanted to practice and you get some samples in because I thought of like more of like a real estate thing, or for RV parks or whatever, video I could do and offer on the road. as we travel. And so I was like, hey, can I film your house? And just, it's a really nice house. And then he ended up telling me at the same time that he was actually thinking about selling it. So I was like, oh, okay, well, it works out perfectly then. Like, I'll make this and then you can use it. He asked, if he could pay for it and stuff. And I said, that's fine. We didn't really talk about, what it would cost or anything. So I didn't really want. And he was like, well, I appreciate that. Like, maybe we can just bless you with some gas money. And I was like, okay, sure. And, like, I really appreciate that. I'll take it. Knowing,
We're also learning.
We're also knowing that our bank account is like really low. And it's like, okay, yeah, I'll take some gas money. But
and also learning to receive. And it's easy to push people's like offerings away. Like, oh, we don't need it because you did it for free.
Yeah.
You weren't expecting anything, but it's also, we are in the process of understanding like finances and mindset in money and being able, like we would rather give, but to be able to give, you also have to be a really good receiver. And so I think in that, it was just practicing, I'm going to receive this and say, okay, if this is something you'd really like to do, we'll take it.
Yeah. Yeah. Being a good receiver as well as being a good giver, I think is important. But yeah, it is hard to receive a lot of times, I feel like. And I feel like that's more of a pride thing, especially when it's like, if you feel like you do need help, and then you're like, oh no, okay, that's okay, I'm good. Like I really don't need help. But it's like, you're not admitting that, oh, actually, I do need help. Like I do need to, what are you staring at?
Nothing. Your whole new look, your vibe is just a different vibe.
Anyway, it was like a good, and then I was thinking like, oh, he'd probably give me a couple $100 or whatever.
Yeah, like a tank of gas.
Yeah, tank of gas, and it's like, so anyway, we're in the Walmart and, all of a sudden it's like, cha-ching on Venmo, and then I'm like, oh, that's a lot of money. So we get a really, nice chunk of money that that we're like, okay, well, this is definitely going to get us to Tennessee and a little bit farther. And we're like, wow, really, like, really.
Walk in and I was just like, don't even, like, not accepting the fact, because I'm
like,
doubting a lot of this trip and frustrated that I feel like I'm the reason why we're going to Tennessee. And you're like, no, I really feel like this is where we're supposed to go, regardless of my retreat for my company. And so I'm feeling having guilt.
Well, I felt like you were supposed to.
Yeah, you felt like I was supposed to be there.
At the retreat.
And then I have guilt and shame that I'm having us spend money to go there, even though like you kind of had more belief in me than I did at this point just because of where we were.
Yeah.
And so you walk in and you're like, oh my gosh. And I was like, don't even talk to me. Like, so it was a good learning moment. Not that I've learned it fully, but it's a start.
Yeah, and I still have things to get through, work through, and trust issues. But so anyway, so we get that, and that that happens, and it's like, all right, okay, this is it's kind of mind blowing, and we were at the point where it was like, whether it's like we either go to Tennessee or we go back to Idaho, it doesn't really matter, because it's like, either way, it's like we don't have enough money to get back, we don't have enough money to get there.
Yeah.
So I feel like the whole thing is, it's like, I don't know, and it's funny, I was talking to the guy who gave us money, and it was like a little bit about it, because he's going through his own stuff, and it was like, being able to, one, live in an RV and just kind of like live really minimally, but also just taking this leap of faith and going somewhere that you feel, or doing something you feel called to do, and not knowing how it's going to happen, but knowing that if you just trust and go, like the road will unfold in front of you, and the way will be shown. And a lot of times I feel like, especially in my past, it's like, you say you trust God or, the universe or whatever, and you say you trust, but then it's like, do you really? Because like,
You have a house.
You have
a
like
job.
you have these you have a job, you have house to fall back on, you know. And then like, yeah, it's like you say like, well, yeah, God's provided this job and provided the house and you know all these things. It's like, but yeah, but like, I get that, but then there's also this like, it's kind of almost this like, oh yeah, I do trust God, but it's kind of just in passing or a passive trust because it's like, I don't actually need to trust because I trust my house, I trust my job, I trust this, you know, instead of being like, I got nothing.
Maybe we have a trailer.
And I'm going and I'm taking action to go do something
That we
I don't,
believe.
that we like, but I also don't know how it's going to happen.
Yeah.
And so, yeah, it's like a whole new level, you know, of testing the faith and all that stuff. So that was a crazy experience. And it was awesome. So anyway, we get to Tennessee. We have a good time. You have a really cool time at the conference. And yeah, so anyway, then you get done with the conference and we're just like, nothing's working out. Like no farms around, none of the woofing farms around here have gotten back to us. None of them even really felt right, you know, but it was kind of like, okay,
This is what we said we were going to do, so we're going to find one.
Well, it wasn't even that, but it was more like, okay, am I just being too picky or am I like just not, this being my first one, not really knowing what to expect and what to look for, that I'm kind of like going through like, oh, that doesn't really look good or that doesn't feel right, you know, or is it just like, okay, let's just start somewhere and then as we get the groove, then we can be like more like,
choosing
oh, yeah.
like what we like, what we know will work for our family.
Like, okay, we went here to this one and they said this, but really it was this or whatever, you know. It was a little bit of that. But then it was just like, man, nothing's working out. And then there was a chance to possibly work with a bee farmer that was at your retreat and working with your company.
Yeah, I think
they're
we'll
really
go back
amazing.
and meet with them.
Yeah. But then like the circumstances there didn't work out either. And so it was like, we gotta do something because here we are again running lower on money.
Because of where we're staying. Because of where an area that we can start pursuing like work or figuring out what we're doing.
You know, and the whole plan was to be in Nashville and work on farms and stuff, and so yeah, nothing was working out in Tennessee, and so I was like, okay, well, trying to figure it all out, and we felt like.
Well, and you were like really working hard on it because I've always wanted to be in Tennessee. I wanted to spend time in Tennessee. Tennessee was like has always been this idea of like, I want to go take time there and check it out. And so I think what happened next, which is funny. So I guess you just keep talking. You're a better storyteller.
What?
Well, because anyways, you went out driving to get gas one night. Yeah. We had one more night to stay. The next day we had to leave.
Yeah.
And actually, I'll tell this part. So Ben goes out. We're getting gas.
Because it cost us $400 something to stay there for the week.
And it wasn't even.
A nice park.
So we have one more night to stay. We had already extended 2 nights, and Ben goes out to get propane, and he comes back and he's like, "I think we need to talk." And that's like the worst thing you can say to me. Like I immediately am like, are we getting a divorce? Like that, it's not, but like that immediately is like the worst thing that one of the worst things that could happen, right? Like,
yeah.
And so and I was like, no, tell me right now. And you're like, I think we need to head to Texas. And in that moment, you could just see you're waiting for me to like, no, we were going to stay in Tennessee. And I was like, oh, you're just now thinking of this? Like, I've already been thinking about this. Why wouldn't we go to Texas? Because our friends are here, because the area that they're in, and just knowing that.
And we were already planning on coming here for a period of time, but it was after Tennessee.
Yeah, it was after at a different time.
And then we were going to go to Tennessee, be in Tennessee until like Thanksgiving-ish, go to New Orleans for Thanksgiving, meet up with our friends and hang out. But then they decided to move to Austin. Like the same week that we left Idaho,
Yeah.
they moved here. And so we were like, oh, okay, cool. And then, yeah, I went for a drive and I was like, thinking about like, what are we gonna do? What are we gonna do? And kind of just praying, like, what's next? Like, where's the opportunity that we need to move towards? And it was like, just feeling like we gotta go to Austin, you know?
Yeah.
And so, yeah.
And I had already been like, well, duh.
Well, duh.
Where else are we gonna go right now?
Yeah.
We're not going back to Idaho, so the next best is to move over this way. Which, when we were first looking at Texas at the beginning of the year, it feels like 6 years ago.
Last year.
Last year in November around this time, when we had first started considering Texas, it was always the Austin area.
South. Yeah, the Austin area was like the first. It was literally the first thing that came to mind when we were like,
let's go.
because you had kind of said, well, when we had talked about buying land for farming, it was, well, we have to go south because that's where the best farmland is and the best climate for farming.
And I always wanted to do Tennessee.
And so it was like immediately Austin popped into my head, even though it was also came along with like, I'm never going back to Texas. Why would I want to go to Austin? Yeah, so I was like reluctantly like Austin. But yeah, anyway, so all that being said, we're like, okay, we both, and once she said that, I was like, all right. And then we told the kids and they were like, yeah, let's go. Just because they love our friends, Russ and Nellie, so much, and Margot. Yeah, so it was just a no-brainer because one, we have friends. You know, I have other friends here in the area, and this area is just a great place for like-minded people, and there's tons of farms. We're already in contact with a couple of different farmers to possibly, you know, to work and help out on the farm. Right now, we've kind of been in this waiting game, which has been really hard.
Yeah,
it's been a challenge for sure. It's been almost 3 weeks that we've been here, and we feel like we're just sitting here with our hands tied a little bit. It's really cool because, like, you know, things have worked out to where, you know, we were able to exchange work for staying here at the park, which is really cool. So it's like we're providing that value to this park, which is a brand new RV park. They opened up at the beginning of the year.
It's beautiful.
It's beautiful. It's awesome, you know, and so it's great to be here. So it's like, oh, of course, like, you know, they have a need, we have a need, let's help each other out, you know. So that was really cool, and it's just looking for those little things, I think, which is really part of that, you know, that trust, and just kind of paying attention to the little subtle things, and not, you know, it's like, even though, like, yeah, I don't really want to do necessarily video stuff for other people, for clients, but it's like, oh, what skills and what value do I have that I can, you know, help someone out with, and then also get value out of it. So that's like, yeah, we can stay here, and I can, you know, provide a service for that, so that we have somewhere to stay while we're trying to figure everything out. Because we still want to, I mean, I do, we still want to travel. Like, we don't want to stay in Austin forever. But you know, we know we have things that we want to do. We have our Suburban. That was the other thing on the way to Tennessee, is like our Suburban's falling apart. You know, so it's like, we know we need a new truck. We know we don't need, but, well, we do need it. We need a bigger trailer, which we're gonna get, because it's just.
Or is this falling apart?
This one is also falling apart, but it's like, it makes things a little difficult when you're a family of 4 and you have a tiny little refrigerator that you can't keep more than a couple days worth of food in.
And you're living
an hour away from, you know, a good store, which is not H-E-B. Apparently Texans have an obsession with H-E-B, but I'm sorry, it sucks.
The one here is not great, and we're like, what?
I don't get it.
We don't
H-E-B
get it.
and Buc-ee's, come on, it's garbage.
We're definitely getting thrown out of Texas now. We just offended all of Texas.
That's okay, I don't really care. Seriously though, find a better store. Oh look, there's a new trailer coming in.
Another one. lately there's been a lot of change.
This is our podcast studio, just outside of our trailer at the RV park.
We just decided to go for it.
Yeah, we're just going for it, you know?
Or we'll never get
This
it
is
done.
RV life. Listen, we'll tell you the good and bad right now, because RV life is awesome, especially when you're traveling and you're getting to go do things. But it gets a little challenging when you're just sitting around for 3 weeks and you have nothing to do because you can't go anywhere and you're just trying to figure life out. So you get a little bit of cabin fever, or RV fever, maybe we should call it.
Oh, yeah.
You know, but yeah, I mean, it is awesome. I mean, the benefits, I think, outweigh the cons, because, you know, I mean, if we owned a house, like, we'd be stuck in the same place all the time anyway.
Yeah.
You know, even though probably wouldn't go do anything, but like, our house is on wheels, we can just pick up and go whenever we want, you know, and
When we have money.
huh?
This is the hardest part, though, because I'm over here like, we went to my conference, and yet we're also saying, like, we have no money. So, yeah, I'm not making a ton of money in my business. So now I feel, what are we talking about that? Like, that sucks. People are going to be like, don't join that company.
Yeah. Maybe.
No, I definitely think, like, we've been having cabin fever, but it's also really pushed us to, one, look really deep inside on some stuff that I need to work on. When it comes
Both need
to
work on.
not living life the way that, like, is really as honoring how I want to live, or even running my business the way that I want to. So I'm actually holding myself back, when in reality I know that it could be helping us to live the life of our dreams. It's okay, babe.
You're gonna go ride your scooter or what?
No.
Why not? Well, why don't you take your helmet off?
Living the life of our dreams, yet I'm personally working on not allowing other people's opinions to hold me back, which is reflecting in why my business or even other ventures that I've been working on are really not going anywhere right now. Because, like, I love them, but it's like learning to use my voice and using to share it and figuring that all out at the same time of, you know, all of this happening. It's opening up this layer I didn't realize how much I needed to work on. And so it's very interesting, because you're inside, you're kind of stuck, and you're actually having to deal with things instead of run away from them and go keep yourself busy. And so it's perfect in its own way. It's so perfect, because here we are actually having to deal with a lot of root issues that I believe have held us back from truly living and creating and making even the money to be able to live this lifestyle.
Yeah.
So we're dealing with it. Yeah, it's been really hard, and yet I wouldn't take it back for a moment when I truly look at it, even when I melt down.
Yeah. I mean, even when you look back on the rest of our life, and it's like, you have hard moments in your life, and you look back and it's like, oh yeah, that really wasn't that hard. I mean, even though,
Or
like,
look
in
what
the
I
moment,
learned from it.
and look what I learned from it, but it's like, even though in the moment it sucks, but then you look back like, oh yeah, I made it through. It was good, and I learned a lot from it, you know?
Yeah.
But yeah, I mean, it has been.
So don't be afraid to join Herbal Alchemy. Just kidding. Just kidding.
Shameless plug.
Don't be afraid to join my company. I'm just looking for my people. No.
No, but I mean, it is like, I don't know, a lot of this time is like a lot of spiritual growth and development and inner work.
Believing and trusting what we've been learning and growing in.
Yeah, like actually putting things to the test, and like, I don't know, so many times you learn something and you don't integrate it, you know, you don't actually, like, you just learn it in your head, but you don't actually apply it in your life, you don't actually do it, you don't live it out, you know, and that's like where integrity comes in, because it's like you say one thing, but it's like, are you actually living that way?
Yeah,
you know,
we've had
are you
that
actually
conversation lately?
Yeah, and it's like, yeah, I mean, everything that we talk about everything that Chasing the Wild Wonder stands for, you know, and maybe that we're still learning But it's like we have this idea and this vision of how we think the world should be, or we want it to be, but it's like, are we living that way? Are we living in such a way of how what we're preaching, like, are we practicing what we're preaching in a sense, So a lot of it has been a lot of inner work and really kind of trusting. Like, I mean, even one example is like just really living off the bare bones of food and going to the grocery store and just being like, all right, we're down to like this much, like no
frills,
no extraneous sides or anything. Like, here's a bowl of ground beef.
Here's some cheese though.
With some cheese and an avocado. Like, I mean, even an avocado, but it's like, not, that hasn't been all the time, but.
And some rice.
Sometimes
Yes,
it has
and
some
definitely rice.
Yeah, with butter.
With butter. But
We're
even
bougie
like.
on a budget.
Yeah, bougie on a budget. That should be a channel. No, but like.
Nelly, I got this.
Even taking, I mean, the spices were more for like. I mean, it's kind of cool
because it's completely changed everything for us, to be honest.
Yeah, but it's also, for me, like, I think the food aspect of it's like, because you're right, like, a lot of the times you'll use food as a crutch, as an emotional crutch, to be like, when you're going through something hard, and it's like, oh, I'm just gonna eat my feelings,
Chocolate, and I gotta want some of this.
Chocolate, like, we haven't been able to buy chocolate, so it's like, we don't have any sugar or treats in the house that we can just like run to and be like,
we have very
save me chocolate.
Or like the chips, like we have very nutrient dense like meals, and then like actual fruit and stuff for snacks.
Yeah.
But I was kind of, what?
The only kind of chocolate we get is our egg smoothie.
Yeah, it's our egg smoothie. That's right.
And it's amazing.
Yeah.
And honey. I did do a spoonful of honey one day. I was like, I need some sugar. But when I was kind of talking to you on one of my walks with our friends, like this idea of I've always wanted to work and deal with my emotional eating that I, for as long as can remember, has always dealt with. And there was a really hard day, so I like to walk because it's a lot of times like helping process and figuring things out and being able to work through things on my own. And I had this like aha moment, which it sounds like you're feeling the same thing, that I then shared with you about really not having the chance to emotionally eat. Like, there was no way to emotionally eat on the last few weeks. It was like feeling every feel, knowing we have food, like we're okay, but there was no, even if I wanted to go eat chocolate, even if I wanted something else, like to cover those feelings, I actually had to feel those feelings and decide, am I going to be really frustrated? And there were times that I have been. And then, but being able to be frustrated in it and then say, okay, I'm frustrated. How can I change this? And my whole life, I've always been like, let's go get pizza. Let's go get French fries. Like, let's go eat chocolate. Let's go get ice cream. And really, when you're choosing to emotionally eat, you're choosing not to deal with those actual feelings. And so here we are.
Right, you're not
dealing with
sitting with
like
them.
You actually are sitting with
You're not allowing yourself to feel those emotions because you're taking a physical thing that's going to like give you this, basically gives you a dopamine hit, which kind of gives you this false sense of the opposite emotion.
Yeah.
And so it's like, oh, I'll just immediately feel good by eating this ice cream or chocolate or whatever it is, instead of being like just sitting with that emotion, processing it and letting it out. And especially with like all the things that we've been learning about how emotions get trapped inside your body and, cause disease that way and stuff, but just also allowing yourself to sit with your emotion and feel it and be like, this is the way I feel about this. And then just let it go, and then it's over. And then you're like, okay. Now,
I would say Instagram was a little bit easier to like get on now.
Yeah, Instagram has been a little bit of a crutch.
Yeah.
You're making pumpkin pie?
We love Nelly.
Apparently we're gonna have some pumpkin pie.
So overall, it's like, I think my biggest thing, and I shared it with you out of like frustration even today, is like, we're trying to chase this dream. We're chasing this beautiful life that I know we want. And I think so many other people are cheering us on. And even some of you guys are like, that's what I would love to do. And at the same time, I feel like there's this inauthentic part of like, this is actually what's really going on. And this is really hard. And we don't want to just show the highlight reel. And so I think this is where I'm personally going to love the podcast that we have and doing this, because it's like, here's the real it. This is it.
The podcast is going to be, because it's going to be the conversation behind it, you know?
Yeah.
And I mean, like, yeah, on the YouTube we'll be able to show a little more. I feel like it's just, Instagram I feel like is just like a hard...
little pieces of like,
it's
here,
like,
these
you
are
know,
the good
because what am I
tips
going to
and
do is
tricks.
like, you know...
Hey guys, today's really hard.
Hey, today sucks. I'm kind of just sitting around.
Doing nothing.
Depressed.
Yeah.
I'm hungry. All I had was a pound of ground beef, even though it's delicious.
No. Are you hungry?
Huh?
We got some fresh
No.
bread.
Yeah.
Probably end this so I can go eat my warm bread that I've been
I
craving.
know, right? Yeah.
Anyways.
So anyway.
What does Russ
so
always
we're
say at
here.
the end of a conversation? What does he always say at the end? Like, okay, recap. Is that what he says? Like, we need to start doing our recap. Like, what are our main points that we got out of this? We're learning a ton.
We're learning
It's
a ton.
really
This has been
challenging.
challenging.
But a challenge is awesome, because if you, instead of a problem, it's a challenge. And it's like, game on. Like, when there's a challenge, you can work through it and you get to figure it out. And then you're like, yes, did it. The donkeys are going crazy.
Like, there's been, I mean, okay, here's a couple things. Because, like, when we first got here, first of all, we surprised Russ and Nelly. They had no
Which was
idea
so
where
much
we were
fun.
coming.
So much fun.
And so that was awesome. You'll be able to see that on YouTube at some point. We didn't know what we were going to be doing. We didn't have any plan, because it was like literally we left the day after we decided to come here. We're like, let's go to Austin. We're leaving in the morning. Like, let's go.
The joy of RV life.
Yeah, right. The joy of RV life. Exactly. And so anyway, we didn't really have any plans. You know, we knew like, oh yeah, let's get in touch with farmers and all this stuff. And but anyway, little things happened where, you know, one, you know, friends bought us some food. Our friends bought us some food as a gift, and it was like, oh, thank you. Like, you know, we just need a little bit of groceries. And then, you know, learning to be okay with having to borrow money right now from parents, and just like knowing that we're going to pay it back. We got money coming. Finally sold the Airstream. Finally.
Feels like a freaking
For
$1
not-
million right
Yeah.
now.
Yeah, it feels like a lot. Wasn't as much as we wanted for it, but it's okay. Like,
Because we're learning to be really grateful for what we have.
Yeah, really grateful for what we get, and just knowing like, okay, this is like what we need right now, and we're just gonna receive that, and like know that that value that we're giving and putting back into the world is going to come back to us. Like, just really learning that, you know, there isn't a lack, there isn't a competition. Like, there's more than enough for everyone to go around. And yeah, and then we went to the first time to the farmer's market to get raw milk, and then we met someone there, and they ended up gifting us raw milks to welcome us to the area. And so it was like, okay, like it was all these little things that just kind of like, you know. And then like, you know, with I said we're doing work with the RV park, and like all of that kind of like how all that came together was really cool. Like we just like ended up meeting the owners.
Didn't even think about it.
Yeah, we just ended up meeting the owners randomly, and like they asked us about, you know, what we were doing and stuff. And so it all kind of came together, and the opportunities came to us and presented themselves, you know, and all we had to do was, you know, take the step forward and take the opportunity. And so it was like, okay, we're learning to trust. We're learning to recognize these moments and trust our intuition, trust like that what we're doing, and we are headed in the right direction, even though society and everyone around us would want to say like, oh my God, that's stupid. Like, why would you do that? Why would you put yourself in that situation? like that sounds so reckless, and
You have kids.
you have kids, and you know, but like we're okay, like we're fine. Like we've been through hard times before. We didn't, like, we were in a house and there was times where we were like, I don't know how we're gonna pay rent this month. And I know we're not the only people in that situation, you know, but it's like then you look back and you're like, oh, like we're okay. We're still here. We're still alive. We're okay. You know, so it's just learning to trust that, you know, and right now we're just really in the thick of it, in the fire, like really learning and growing. And yeah.
The beauty of that, though, is like, even though I have hard moments in it, and this has been really tough for me, I'm annoyed at myself that I naturally am like, well, where's the gold in it? What am I learning?
Being forged in the fire.
Like, I always switch, like, what am I learning? How am I growing? What's happening? Like, I'm allowing myself to be frustrated and feel all the feelings, but also naturally being like, but look at this, what I'm learning. Look at this, what's happening. How amazing is this? And so I battle between these two worlds of like, nah, and this like, no, but look at what's happening.
Yeah.
So that's been kind of cool to really be able to sit with and see. And here we are.
Here we are. Chasing the wild wonder.
What is that? Just kidding.
So, yes, keep an eye out for the next episode because we have a lot to talk about. And we are going to be in the Austin area at least until the end of the year.
Yeah, we've kind of decided.
We've kind of decided like this is where we need to be for now. And there's lots of farming opportunities in the area with regenerative farms. There's lots of like-minded people, lots of like biohackers, and like just really, you know, people focused on spiritual growth and all this kind of stuff. And so we feel like this is a really good area to hang out in right now as we grow and as we kind of gather the resources and, you know, until we have a more travel-worthy rig, a full-time travel-worthy rig that we feel safer in and more just comfortable. And yeah, that, you know, we can talk about that in another episode, more RV life focused.
Yeah.
But
I think so I would say that our main thing is like we're settling for a little bit, which helps us to be able to get focused.
Yeah, we're getting focused.
To be able to work on our businesses, especially I feel very called to like relaunch and do a lot of my like pouring in and actually going for it.
Yeah.
It allows us to take a deep breath. And then I know for personally, and I feel like it's kind of happening for both of us, that, I don't know, I had this overwhelming feeling to put myself in a room where I'm learning and growing because other people know more than I do. And I feel like that's already happening. Just being able to grow. Like, I want to be, how did we say that? To not say like, I don't want to be the dumbest person in the room, but I want to be the
least smart person.
The least smart person in the room. Like, how do you say that in a good way? Like, you know, but just say, if I'm going to be here, I'm choosing to.
Not that you're dumb, but that like, everyone else in the room
knows
so much more. And
I get to learn, and I get to grow, and I get to take in.
Yeah, because like it's who you surround yourself with, you ultimately become, in a sense, you know.
And so that has just been, that like came to me on our way here. I was like, you know what, if we're going to be in this area, especially in the biohacking, especially in the animal base, especially in the farming, how can I learn? How can I, and know, and what I'm learning is like, wow, I actually know a lot too. Like, I can serve and I can pour out and I can encourage and use my gifts for some of these people too, even though I feel like they're celebrities or they're like higher up than me. You know, it's kind of like this interesting thing, but realizing, wow, we're all humans.
Right.
Some may know more than what I want to know, but I also have something to give in these rooms. So that's kind of where I'm excited to be here. I definitely don't have any desire to travel right now.
Yeah.
I have a desire to
Especially-
explore and do
Especially
some
in the
fun things.
Suburban, because that thing kills my back.
Yeah,
I went an hour to the farmer's market today, and my back was like, get out of the car.
yeah. It's like rejecting us.
I really am thankful for that car. I really am.
Gosh, we should name her.
It's time to move on, though.
Yeah.
I think she's ready to move on to the next realm.
I think too, something that we will have to talk about in another episode is like understanding what you and Parker need to do an episode on like manifesting and abundance.
Yeah.
I'm like the least person that should do that. I'm like lack mentality, learning abundance over here. I learn more from you guys just listening to your conversations and how excited he gets. And just really proud of like how intentional you are being in this. It creates a lot of friction with me right now, which is making me grow and making me be like, oh, I have to figure my crap out. And from years of programming into, well, what do I want out of this life? Because I've never truly have I answered that in an authentic way.
Yeah.
So I think
So
you and Parker
what do we want the listeners to take away from this episode? If there's one thing one word of wisdom you would impart from what we've experienced in the last couple weeks.
Ooh. What about you? Will you start?
Yeah, I would say like we're not talking about this to make you feel sorry for us or make you
like we were hesitant to.
Yeah, we're hesitant to share this, but we feel it's important to like just talk about and be honest and be transparent. Because one, we are saying, like in one sense, yes, we do most of the time, I will say, like I'm enjoying life and loving it, but there are the difficult times. But most people, and we don't do this a lot, is share those difficult times. And so then you only get the filtered view, like on Instagram or on YouTube, whatever. And so then like people could, and we do this to other people, but people could watch us and be like, oh my God, they're just living their lives, they're living the dream, which we are. But the dream comes with some nightmares, and it's all, but I would say, if there's one thing you can learn, it's all about your perspective. And how are you going to do that? And one thing that I've learned over this past year is just really taking that full radical responsibility for your life over everything, over every circumstance, and realize that, and once I realize that everything in my life, everything that is happening is my fault, whether good or bad.
Yeah.
It's my fault. It's my doing. And it's a result of my programming. It's a result of my thoughts and my beliefs, of what I believe of myself and what I believe of the world around me, whether I believe I'm a victim or whether I believe that life is happening to me or life is happening for me. Already filming. And so then when you can kind of rest in that, and live in that and take every moment when the good comes or the bad comes, you could say, what is the lesson here? What is the universe trying to teach me? What do I need to learn so that I can grow? Because the universe is a mirror that's reflecting back to you. And so when something bad comes or something comes up, you could say, okay, what is it in me that I need to clean out or dig into, and like what is it that's bringing this to me so that I can purify that and become and grow and become more of my truest self, and then learning and then having gratitude that came along to teach me that lesson.
I like that.
So
insightful
always live in gratitude.
Like I learned so much from you. You have a lot of wisdom to share.
Thanks. What about you?
I would say that being willing to get uncomfortable and take the leap of faith, whatever it is that is in your life. To be able to feel the feels and to really start peeling back those layers, even though I feel like I've been doing that forever, but like truly sitting with feelings, getting uncomfortable and being willing to figure out like who you are, what you want, but knowing that that comes with challenges, that comes with the fire and the refining and the sharpening and that uncomfortable like growth. Like I always go back to the butterfly, right? Like a caterpillar getting into its little, what is it called? Cocoon. You know, if someone were to help you or help the butterfly will actually never be able to fly. It has to get its way out of that and break through. And I had a friend that had like some cocoons in her garage, probably from butterflies or moths, and it looked like blood had dripped out. Mm-hmm. And she was like, oh my gosh, this is insane. And it feels that way. Like choosing to get uncomfortable, choosing to really figure out who you are and become the most authentic version of yourself comes with the pain and the blood and the sweat and the tears. But in the end, even though I'm still going through that, like it feels right and it feels good and it feels like, oh my gosh, like I'm onto something. And even though there's those challenges, it's being able to already look back from a week ago, 2 weeks ago, 3 weeks ago, a year ago of this process of changing that is, I wouldn't take any of it back because of, I know the direction that I'm headed, and being able to be like this most beautiful version of me. Mm-hmm. And it's worth it. Like, take the step off the ledge and do it. Like, I don't know, but you know, I'm already going through my own transformation over here on a lot of levels, so I could keep going. No, get uncomfortable. Like, be authentic. Like, what does that mean?
Yeah.
Get through the trauma, get through the crap in life, and it's doesn't come without challenges and pain, but it's also the most freeing feeling I've personally ever felt.
Well, that's awesome. All right, well, till next time. I don't know how we usually end an episode, but
Toodles.
see you later.
Y'all, not you guys.
You guys.
Everyone makes sense. You guys.
You
They're
guys.
like, it's y'all. It rolls off the tongue better. Y'all.
I will never say y'all. I tried, but it's just
Doesn't
not
feel natural.
authentic to me. So
It kind of comes naturally to me because I like take on other people's sayings, so without realizing it.
yeah.
So y'all comes out, but you guys. See you
You
later,
guys.
you guys.
You guys.
Toodles, you guys.
I don't know what else to say. Let us know in the comments. Do you say you
Y'all.
all, y'all, you all, you guys?
Or is there something else
Is
we
there
should
something
be learning?
else? Let us know. I don't know. Anyway.
Bye. We're gonna go eat sourdough bread that's warm with butter.
Oh yes, not lots of
We should make a
grass-fed butter.
We should make a YouTube video that's like the ASM whatever.
Eating fresh sourdough,
Probably
grass-fed
get
butter.
some views on
ASMR.
that.
We should. That
Let's
would be
do
funny.
it. I think we should do it right now.
All right, let's go.
Okay.